John Parker stumbled up his porch steps, his body heavy from a brutal day at work. He jammed his key into the lock, but it wouldn't turn. His stomach dropped as he tried again, the metal scraping uselessly. Someone had changed the locks on his own house, his sanctuary, while he was gone. Anger surged through him, hot and sharp. As he realized this was no mistake, it was a betrayal, and the HOA's fingerprints were all over it. He stepped back, breathing hard. The HOA had been after him for months, complaining about his over-the-top security system. They didn't get it. John wasn't just some guy with a fancy lock. He was the one who built it, a tech genius who'd spent years perfecting every detail. And now, they'd locked him out of his own creation. He clenched his fists, staring at the door like it was an enemy. This wasn't just about a key. It was about control, and he'd be damned if he let them win. His neighbor, Mrs. Carter, shuffled by with her dog, pausing when she saw him. Locked out, huh? HOA again, she asked, her voice soft but knowing. John nodded, his jaw tight. They changed the locks today. No warning. She frowned. That's low even for them. You gonna fight it? John forced a grim smile. Oh, I'll do more than fight. Mrs. Carter chuckled. Give 'em hell then. He pulled out his phone and called Linda, the HOA president. Her voice oozed smugness when she answered. John, we had to enforce the rules. Your system's a problem. He cut her off. You broke into my house. I designed that system. It's mine. Linda laughed. The HOA has rights, John. You'll get used to it. He hung up, fury bubbling over. They thought they'd won, but they didn't know who they were messing with. John circled to the back of the house. There was a small basement window, a secret he'd left for emergencies. He squeezed through, landing in the dark, familiar space. The hum of his servers greeted him like an old friend. He booted up his computer, fingers flying over the keys. The security logs confirmed it. New locks installed at 2:37 p.m. With a smirk, he overrode them, resetting the codes to his own. The front door clicked open in his mind's eye. Step 1, done. But this wasn't over. The HOA had invaded his home, underestimated his skills, and mocked his rights. He leaned back, plotting. They'd pay for this, not with lawyers or complaints, but with a lesson they'd never forget. He glanced at the screen, a plan forming. If they wanted a war, he'd bring one to their doorstep. Want more HOA drama like this? Subscribe to the channel for wild stories and epic payback. John stood in his basement, the glow of his computer screen casting shadows on the walls. He'd just reclaimed his front door, but the HOA's move left a bitter taste. Linda's smug voice echoed in his head. You'll get used to it. No way, he thought. He wasn't just fighting for his house. He was fighting for his pride. He opened his security app and found something odd. A hidden camera he didn't install, tucked in his porch light. Someone was watching him. Who's this bold? John muttered. He traced the camera's signal to a server he didn't recognize. His fingers flew across the keyboard, hacking into the feed. The footage showed Linda and a man he didn't know sneaking into his yard yesterday. The man carried a toolbox, and Linda pointed at his lock. Make it quick, she hissed on the video. He's at work. John's blood boiled. They'd planned this for weeks. He saved the clip and called his friend Mike, a private investigator who owed him a favor. Mike, I got video of Linda breaking in, John said. Can you check her out? Mike whistled. That's juicy. Give me a day. She's not as clean as she acts. John hung up, but a loud knock at the door made him jump. He checked his app. The new locks were secure, but a note was taped to his door. The note read, Stop digging or you're out for good. No signature, just block letters. John's heart raced. This wasn't just Linda's game. Someone else was pulling strings. He scanned his cameras again and caught a glimpse of a hooded figure dropping the note and running off. Got you, John whispered, zooming in. The figure's shoes had a red stripe, just like the ones his neighbor Steve wore. Steve? The guy who always waved and offered him a beer? John shook his head. No way. But doubt crept in. He grabbed his jacket and headed to Steve's house across the street. Steve opened the door, grinning. Hey man, beer. John forced a smile. Nah, just checking in. You see anyone weird around my place? Steve's grin faltered. Nope, all quiet. But John noticed those red striped shoes by the door. Back home, John's phone buzzed. Mike texted, Linda's got a record, embezzlement, covered up years ago. She's also meeting someone tonight at the HOA clubhouse. Wanna crash it? John replied, hell yeah. He wasn't waiting for answers. He'd get them himself. He grabbed a tiny recorder and slipped it into his pocket. If Linda was meeting her mystery partner, he'd catch them red-handed. At the clubhouse, John hid behind a dumpster, the recorder on. Linda arrived, looking nervous. A car pulled up, and out stepped Steve. John's jaw dropped. You said he'd back off. Linda snapped. Steve shrugged. He's stubborn. We need to push harder. Linda groaned. Like what? We already changed his locks. Steve leaned in. Evict him. Fake the papers. I know a guy. John's hands shook as he recorded every word. He crept away, heart pounding. Steve was in deep, way deeper than he guessed. Back home, he played the recording again. Eviction? Fake papers? This was no small grudge. He emailed the clip to Mike, who called right away. This is gold, John, Mike said. But be careful. Steve's got connections, shady ones. John frowned. What kind? Mike's voice dropped. Ex-cop. Knows people who can make problems disappear. John barely slept that night. At dawn, his doorbell rang. He checked the camera. It was Mrs. Carter again, holding a pie. Heard about the lock trouble, she said when he opened the door. You okay? John nodded, wary. Yeah, thanks. She leaned closer. I know people who can help. Meet me at the park later. Her eyes were sharp, not friendly. John agreed, but didn't trust her. Was she with Steve? He spent the day digging into Steve's past online. An old news article popped up. Steve had been fired from the police for taking bribes. John's gut twisted. This guy wasn't just a nosy neighbor. He was dangerous. His phone pinged with a new email, no sender name. It said, Linda's not the boss. Look closer. Attached was a photo of Steve handing an envelope to a man in a suit at the clubhouse. John stared at the photo. A bigger player? He called Mike. I got a weird email. Steve's meeting some suit. Any ideas? Mike cursed. That's bad news. I'll check it out, but don't go to that park alone. John ignored the warning. He needed answers. At the park, Mrs. Carter waited on a bench. You're smart, John, she said. But you're in over your head. Drop this, or you'll lose more than your house. John crossed his arms. Who's behind it? Steve. She laughed cold. Bigger than him. Walk away. She left, and John stood frozen. The HOA wasn't just petty, they were a machine, and he'd kicked the hornet's nest. Want more HOA drama like this? Subscribe to the channel for wild stories and epic payback. John's mind raced as he left the park, Mrs. Carter's warning echoing. Bigger than him. Steve was bad enough, but someone else was calling the shots. He checked his phone. The anonymous email with Steve's photo stared back. The man in the suit looked familiar, but John couldn't place him. He forwarded it to Mike. Find this guy, he texted. His gut screamed this was about to get uglier. Back home, John noticed his mailbox was open. Inside was a single key, no note. It wasn't his house key. It looked older, heavier. What the hell, he muttered. He turned it over, spotting a tiny engraving. Unit 7. The storage units by the highway? Someone was leading him somewhere. But was it a trap? He pocketed the key, his nerves on edge. His phone rang. Mike. That guy in the photo? Richard Holt, big shot lawyer. Works for a property developer. He's been sniffing around your neighborhood. John frowned. For what? Mike's voice was grim. They want to buy the whole block, tear it down for condos. Your house is in the way. John's heart sank. The HOA wasn't just petty, they were selling out the neighborhood. Before he could process it, his security app pinged. Someone was at his back door. He checked the camera. Linda's son, Tim, stood there, looking scared. John opened the door. Tim, what's wrong? The kid's eyes were wide. My mom's freaking out. She says you're done for. Someone's coming for you tonight. John grabbed his shoulder. Who? Tim shook his head. I don't know, but she was on the phone with Steve. John pulled Tim inside. Stay here. Tell me everything. Tim spilled. Linda and Steve were working with Holt to force people out. They'd forged documents to scare homeowners, and John's security system was a problem because it recorded their moves. They hate you, Tim said. You're too smart. John smirked. Good. Let's use that. He set up a trap. John rigged a fake Wi-Fi network called HOA files and loaded it with dummy data. If Steve or Holt tried hacking it, he tracked them. Hours later, his app lit up, someone bit. The signal traced to the clubhouse. John grabbed his recorder and headed out, telling Tim, stay put. Lock the doors. Tim nodded, pale. Don't die, okay? At the clubhouse, John hid in the bushes. Steve and Holt were inside, arguing. He's got videos. Steve snapped. Holt's voice was cold. Then get rid of them. Burn his place if you have to. John's blood froze. Burn his house? He recorded every word, but a twig snapped behind him. He spun around. A woman in a hoodie lunged, knife flashing. You're done, Parker, she hissed. It was Lisa, Steve's sister. John dodged, grabbing her wrist. The knife fell. Why are you doing this? He yelled. Lisa sneered. Money. Holt pays big. She broke free and ran. John didn't chase. He had the recording. He bolted home, heart pounding. Tim was still there, shaking. Did you get it? The kid asked. John nodded. Yeah, but it's worse than I thought. Mike called. John, I checked that server from the camera. It's Holt's. He's been watching half the neighborhood. John cursed. He's got cash to burn. What's his next move? Mike paused. He's meeting the HOA board tomorrow to push the condo deal. You need to crash it. John grinned. Oh, I will. That night, John went to the storage units with a mystery key. Unit 7 was dark, the lock rusty. He opened it and found boxes of HOA records, fake contracts, forged signatures, and a list of homeowners marked evict. His name was circled in red. At the bottom, a note. Holt pays $50,000 per house. John snapped photos, his anger rising. This was a conspiracy to steal their homes. As he left, headlights blinded him. A truck sped toward him, engine roaring. John dove behind a dumpster, scraping his arm. The truck missed by inches and peeled out. John caught the license plate, Steve's. Bastard, he growled. He sent the photos to Mike and limped home, bruised but alive. Tim was waiting. You okay? He asked. John nodded. Got what I needed. Tomorrow we end this. But his phone buzzed a new email. Nice try. Unit 7 was a warning. Quit now. Attached was a live feed of John's basement from a camera he never installed. John stared at the live feed on his phone, his basement glowing on the screen from a camera he didn't install. His heart pounded. Someone had eyes inside his home, again. He swept the room, finding a tiny lens hidden in a smoke detector. Got you, he whispered, yanking it out. But who planted it? Holt? Steve? Or someone new? He crushed the camera, his anger flaring. This was his house, and they'd gone too far. He called Mike. Another camera, man. Inside my place. Mike cursed. Holt's got tech like that. The HOA board meetings in 2 hours. You ready to hit M? John clenched his jaw. Oh, I'm ready. He grabbed his laptop, the storage unit photos, and the recordings. Tim, still at his house, looked up. You're going after them? John nodded. Stay here, kid. It's gonna get messy. On his way to the HOA clubhouse, John's car radio crackled. Then a voice cut through. Parker, turn back. He froze. The voice wasn't human, distorted, robotic. You're dead if you show up. The radio died. John gripped the wheel, his palms sweaty. Someone was hacking his car. He pulled over, checked the dashboard, and found a small tracker under the seat. Son of a, he muttered, ripping it out. Holt's crew was playing dirty. At the clubhouse, John slipped in through a side door. The board meeting was packed. Linda, Steve, Holt, and 10 neighbors, all tense. John hid behind a curtain, recorder on. Holt stood, slick in his suit. Sign the deal, he said. The condos will make you rich. A neighbor, Sarah, spoke up. What about John? His house. Steve laughed. He's out. Evictions filed. John's blood boiled. Time to move. He stepped out, holding his laptop. Evictions fake, he said, voice steady. Gasps filled the room. Linda paled. You're trespassing, she yelled. John smirked. Check this. He played the video of Linda stealing HOA cash. Then the recording of Steve and Holt planning the eviction. Neighbors murmured, shocked. Holt's face tightened. That's edited, he snapped. John tossed the storage unit photos on the table. These fake contracts say otherwise. Chaos erupted. Sarah grabbed a photo. This has my name. Another neighbor, Tom, yelled. They forged my signature. Steve lunged at John. You're dead. John dodged, but Steve's fist grazed his jaw. Mike burst in, badge flashing. Back off, Steve, he shouted. Steve froze, and Holt bolted for the door. John tackled him, papers flying. Not so fast, John growled. Holt smirked, even pinned. You're small time, Parker. My boss will bury you. John blinked. Boss? Who? Holt laughed. You'll meet her soon. Mike cuffed him, but John's mind spun. A bigger boss? Mrs. Carter's warning flashed back. Bigger than him. Was she the boss? Or someone else? As Mike hauled Holt and Steve away, Linda screamed. I didn't do anything. John ignored her, but Sarah grabbed his arm. John, there's more. I saw Mrs. Carter with Holt last week. At night, by the river. John's stomach dropped. Mrs. Carter again? The pie, the park, she was everywhere. What were they doing? He asked. Sarah whispered, trading envelopes. Looked like cash. John drove home, head spinning. Tim was gone, but a note lay on the table. Had to run. Mom's mad. Check the HOA safe. John frowned. The safe? He'd seen it in his camera feed, Linda stealing from it. He raced to the clubhouse, picking the safe's lock with tools from his basement. Inside were stacks of cash, a burner phone, and a ledger. The ledger listed payments to see. Huge sums labeled silence. The burner phone buzzed in his hand. John answered, cautious. A woman's voice, cold and sharp, said, You're digging too deep, John. Stop, or Tim pays. Click. John's heart stopped. Tim? He dialed the kid's number. No answer. He texted Mike. Tim's in trouble. Find him. Mike replied, on it. Stay put. But John couldn't wait. He grabbed his keys and headed to Linda's house. Her place was dark, but a light flickered in the garage. John crept closer, hearing voices. He's got the ledger. Linda hissed. Another voice, Mrs. Carter's, snapped, then get it back. Tim's our leverage. John's breath caught. They had Tim. He peeked through a crack. Tim was tied to a chair, gagged. Mrs. Carter held a gun. John backed away, dialing Mike. Garage at Linda's. Tim's hostage. Carter's armed. Mike said, cops are coming. Don't move. But a twig snapped behind John. He turned, and a fist slammed into his face. Everything went black. John woke up with a throbbing headache. His face pressed against cold dirt. He was in a shed, hands tied, behind his back, the smell of gasoline stinging his nose. A dim bulb swung overhead, and he heard voices outside. He's awake, a man growled. John recognized it, Steve. His heart raced. They'd dragged him from Linda's garage, and Tim was still trapped. He had to move fast. He tested the ropes. Loose enough to wiggle free, but he'd need time. The door creaked open, and Steve stepped in with Lisa, his sister. You're a pain, Parker, Steve spat. Why couldn't you just leave? John glared. You stole my home. I fight back. Lisa laughed, twirling a knife. Not for long. Carter's got plans. John's stomach twisted. Carter's the boss? Steve smirked. You're catching up. John kept them talking. What's Holt's deal then? Lisa slipped up. He's just the money guy. Carter runs the show. Steve shot her a look. Shut up. But John caught it. Mrs. Carter was the mastermind. He worked the ropes, his fingers raw. Steve grabbed his collar. You're done after tonight. So's the kid. John's blood ran cold. Tim? You'd hurt a kid. Lisa shrugged. Collateral. A phone rang. Steve answered, turning away. Yeah, Carter, he's here. What now? John seized the moment, slipping the ropes off. He lunged, slamming Steve into the wall. Lisa screamed, swinging her knife. John dodged, grabbing a shovel from a corner. He swung it, knocking her out cold. Steve groaned, reaching for his gun, but John kicked away. "Stay down," he growled. He tied them up with the same ropes and grabbed Steve's phone. A text from Carter read, "Finish it. Warehouse midnight." John checked the time, 11:15 p.m. He had to find Tim before midnight. He ran outside, spotting Linda's house nearby. Police lights flashed in the distance. Mike's back up. John called him. "Mike, I'm free. Tim's at a warehouse. Carter's there." Mike cursed. "Wait for us." John hung up. No time. He sped to the warehouse by the river, the one Tim mentioned before. It was dark, but a faint light glowed inside. John crept closer, hearing Carter's voice. "You're useless, kid," she snapped. Tim's voice shook. "Let me go." John peeked through a broken window. Tim was tied to a chair, Carter pacing with her gun. Another figure stood in the shadows. A woman John didn't know, dressed in black. "Who's she?" John whispered. He recorded the scene on his phone. The woman in black spoke. "Carter, you're sloppy. Parker's still alive." Carter snarled. "I'll fix it." The woman laughed. "You better. My investors want this land." John's jaw dropped. Investors? This was bigger than Holt's condos. Someone was bankrolling the whole scam. Suddenly, a hand grabbed John's shoulder. He spun, fist raised, but it was Sarah, the neighbor from the meeting. "Don't hit me," she whispered. "I followed you. Carter's got my sister's house on that list." John lowered his fist. "Why help now?" Sarah's eyes were fierce. "They're ruining us. I've got proof, bank records. Carter's been wiring money to an offshore account." John nodded. "Stay low. I'm getting Tim." They crept inside, sticking to the shadows. Carter was distracted, yelling at Tim. "Your mom's next if you don't shut up." John signaled Sarah to untie Tim while he tackled Carter. He rushed her, grabbing her gun arm. "Drop it," he shouted. Carter fired, the bullet grazing his shoulder. Pain seared through him, but he held on, slamming her to the ground. The gun skidded away. The woman in black bolted, but Sarah blocked her. "Not so fast," she yelled, swinging a pipe. The woman ducked and ran, vanishing into the night. Tim, now free, hugged John. "You came." John winced, clutching his shoulder. "Always, kid." Police sirens wailed outside Mike's team. Carter cursed as cops stormed in, cuffing her. "You'll pay for this," she screamed. Mike rushed to John. "You're bleeding, man." John waved him off. "I'm fine. Get her." He handed over his phone with the video. Mike watched, stunned. "Who's the other woman?" John shook his head. "No clue, but she's the real boss." Sarah showed Mike her bank records. "This ties Carter to the money. Maybe the mystery woman too." As the cops took Carter away, John's phone buzzed. Another anonymous email. "You think you won? Look behind you." He turned, but no one was there. His heart sank. The woman in black was still out there, and she knew his every move. John's shoulder burned from the bullet graze, but the anonymous email chilled him more. "Look behind you." He scanned the warehouse, now swarming with cops, but no one stood out. The woman in black was gone, and her words to Carter echoed in his mind. "My investors want this land." This wasn't just about his house anymore. It was a takeover. He clutched his phone, the video of Carter and the mystery woman his only lead. Mike helped him to an ambulance. "You need a doctor," Mike said. John shook his head. "Not yet. That woman's still out there." Tim, safe but shaken, grabbed his arm. "John, I heard Carter call her V." "She's bad news." John frowned. "V? You sure?" Tim nodded. "She scared my mom." John's gut twisted. Linda feared someone? That was new. Back at the station, John handed over Sarah's bank records and his video. The cop, Officer Reyes, watched the footage, eyes wide. This V woman, never seen her. But these offshore accounts? Big money. We'll trace it. John leaned in. "What about Carter?" Reyes sighed. "She's not talking. Says you framed her." John scoffed. "Framed? She shot me." Reyes nodded. "We've got her, but this V? She's a ghost. John's phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Coffee shop, 10 minutes. Come alone. He showed Mike, who cursed. It's a trap. John shrugged. Maybe, but I need answers. Against Mike's protests, he drove to the coffee shop. Inside, Sarah waited, but she wasn't alone. Tom, the nervous neighbor from the HOA meeting, sat with her, sweating. You, John said, tense. Sarah whispered, he knows V. Tom's voice shook. I didn't want to, John. They forced me. John slid into the booth. Spill it. Who's V? Tom glanced around. Veronica Slade. She's a developer, richer than Holt. Owns half the city. John's jaw dropped. She's behind the condos? Tom nodded. She paid Carter to clear the neighborhood. Forged papers, threats, everything. Sarah cut in. Tom was their spy. He ratted you out. John's fists clenched. You sold us out. Tom's eyes darted. I had no choice. She's got my daughter's medical bills. Before John could snap, the coffee shop's lights flickered. A woman screamed outside. John ran to the window. A black SUV sped off, and Tom was gone, his chair empty. Where'd he go? Sarah gasped. John cursed. Veronica's cleaning house. They rushed outside. A note was taped to John's car. Tom talked. You're next. John's blood ran cold. He called Mike. Tom's gone, maybe kidnapped. Veronica Slade's the boss. Mike whistled. Slade? She's untouchable. Stay put, I'm coming. But John spotted something in the alley, a red striped shoe, like Steve's. He crept closer, finding a burner phone on the ground. It rang. He answered. A distorted voice, Veronica's, said, Nice work, John. But you're late. Check your basement. The call ended. John's heart raced. His basement? He sped home, Sarah in tow. The front door was ajar. He grabbed a bat and crept downstairs. His servers were smashed, wires cut. A USB drive sat on the wreckage, labeled Watch Me. John plugged it into his laptop, hands shaking. A video played. Tom, tied up, pleading. John, I'm sorry. Veronica's voice cut in calm. You want him? Trade the ledger. The screen went black. Sarah gasped. They've got Tom. John slammed the table. They're playing us. His phone buzzed again. Mike found Tom's car. Riverbank. Hurry. They raced to the river. Tom's car was empty, but a trail of blood led to the water. John's stomach churned. No way, he whispered. Sarah sobbed. They killed him. Mike arrived, grim. Maybe. But look. He pointed to a camera on a pole, city surveillance. If Tom's alive, that's our shot. John nodded, hope flickering. Get the footage. As they left, John's car radio crackled again. Veronica's voice purred. You're fun, John. But Tim's with me now. John froze. Tim? He dialed the kid's number, voicemail. Sarah grabbed his arm. We'll find him. But John's world tilted. Veronica had Tim, Tom was gone, and his evidence was slipping away. Then his phone lit up, a photo of Tim, gagged, in a dark room. Caption, 1 hour. Bring the ledger. Want more HOA drama? John's hand shook as he stared at the photo of Tim, gagged and scared. Veronica's message burned in his mind. 1 hour. Bring the ledger. He had the ledger from the HOA safe, but trading it meant losing proof of her crimes. No way he'd let her win, but Tim's life was on the line. He called Mike. She's got Tim again. Wants the ledger. Mike's voice was tense. It's a trap, John. Where's the meat? John checked the email. Old Mill, 1 a.m. Sarah, still with him, grabbed his arm. You can't go alone. John shook his head. I have to. Tim's just a kid. She frowned. Then I'm coming. John hesitated, but nodded. They grabbed the ledger and drove to the mill, the night dark and heavy. John's shoulder ached, but adrenaline kept him sharp. He hid a recorder in his jacket, just in case. At the mill, a single light glowed. John and Sarah crept inside, the ledger in his backpack. Veronica stood in the center, Tim tied to a chair beside her. Her smile was cold. You're punctual, Parker. John held up the ledger. Let him go first. Veronica laughed. Hand it over, or he's done. Tim's eyes were wide, pleading. John tossed the ledger. Veronica caught it, flipping through. Smart move. But as she turned, John hit a button on his phone, activating a tracker he'd slipped inside the ledger's cover. He'd outsmart her yet. Veronica untied Tim, shoving him forward. "Run, kid," John said. Tim stumbled to Sarah, who hugged him tight. Then a gunshot rang out. John dove, pulling Sarah and Tim behind a crate. Veronica hadn't fired. Someone else was here. A man stepped from the shadows, gun raised. It was Officer Reyes, the cop from the station. "You," John gasped. Reyes smirked. "Veronica pays better." John's heart sank. "The police were dirty?" Sarah whispered. "What now?" John's mind raced. He had the recorder running. "Keep him talking," he mouthed. He shouted, "Reyes, you sold out for her?" Reyes laughed. "Money talks, Parker. You should have quit." Veronica snapped, "Finish them." But John threw a wrench from the floor, hitting Reyes' hand. The gun flew. John tackled Reyes, fists flying. Veronica grabbed the ledger and ran. Sarah chased her, yelling, "Stop." Tim hid, sobbing. John pinned Reyes, but the cop laughed. "You're too late. She's got buyers lined up tomorrow." John punched him out, grabbing the gun. He ran after Veronica, but outside, her car was gone, ledger and all. Sarah returned, panting. "She got away." John cursed, but his phone buzzed. The tracker showed Veronica's car heading downtown. "We've got her," he said. Then a new text, "Nice try. Tim's mom is next." John froze. "Linda?" He called Mike. "Veronica's loose. She's after Linda now." Mike cursed. "I'm at the station. Reyes is dirty, found his payoffs. Get here fast." John, Sarah, and Tim sped to the station. Linda was there, in custody. "You okay?" John asked. She glared. "This is your fault." But her eyes flicked to the door, nervous. John followed her gaze. A woman in black watched from across the street. "Veronica?" Before he could move, she vanished. His phone lit up. Game's not over. John stood in the police station. The image of the woman in black burned in his mind. Veronica Slade was steps ahead, threatening Linda now. His phone showed the ledger's tracker moving downtown. "We've got one shot," he told Mike. Sarah nodded, holding Tim close. "Let's end this." Linda, cuffed nearby, muttered, "You're all screwed." John ignored her. He had to save the neighborhood. They followed the tracker to a high-rise office. Mike flashed his badge at security. Police business. Upstairs, Veronica's office was sleek, but empty, except for a laptop, screen glowing. John hacked in, finding emails to investors about the condo deal. One name stood out, Mayor Ellis. The mayor? Sarah gasped. John's jaw tightened. "She's in on it." Footsteps echoed. John hid the group behind a desk as Veronica entered with Ellis. "Parker's close," Veronica said. Ellis frowned. "He's just one guy." Veronica laughed. "He's got my ledger." John's recorder caught every word. He whispered to Mike, "Call backup." Mike nodded, texting silently. Tim tugged John's sleeve. "That's her voice. From the warehouse." John's eyes widened. Ellis was the woman in black. He peeked out. Ellis wore black boots, just like that night. Twist after twist. He stepped out, recorder raised. "Game's over, Veronica. And you, Mayor." Both women froze. Ellis snarled, "You're nobody." Veronica pulled a gun. "Drop it, Parker." John tossed the recorder to Sarah. "Run." Sarah bolted with Tim. Mike tackled Veronica, but Ellis ran. John chased her to the roof, wind whipping. "Why?" he yelled. Ellis sneered. "Money. Your neighborhood's dirt cheap." John dodged as she swung a pipe, then grabbed her arm. "It's our home." Cops swarmed, cuffing Ellis. Veronica was down, Mike's knee on her back. Sarah returned, recorder safe. "Got it all," she said. John sighed, exhausted. The ledger's evidence, plus the recording, nailed them. Days later, the news broke. Veronica and Ellis faced fraud and conspiracy charges. The condo deal collapsed. John's house was damaged, but neighbors rallied, helping rebuild. Linda confessed, cutting a deal. Tim moved in with his aunt, free of his mom's chaos. At a community meeting, Sarah smiled at John. "You saved us." He shrugged. "We saved us." The HOA elected a new leader, honest and fair. John stood on his porch, new locks gleaming, his design. The fight taught him, stand up even when it's hard, because home is worth it. Never let greed win.